How are you?
Have you heard of Bob Peck here on TikTok?
Bob Peck?
I just
Mm,
got his book. I'm super excited to read it.
I have not. What's he about? Origin,
Oh, is it
original.
backwards?
Yeah,
Original Sin
original.
is a Lie.
Ah, okay.
And the subtitle is How Spirituality Defies Dogma and Reveals Our True Self.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And
So, is he a faithist?
no, he is, well, I mean, he doesn't even know the term faithist, but I would call him a faithist and a kindred spirit to me. Because of what I'm reading in the table of contents, plus all of the hours of videos he's put out that I've watched. So the first part of the book is debunking fearful institutions. The second part is, um, I guess, perennial philosophy.
Yeah.
And sort of the very end of the book is the love of our creator. And the chapters in that part are piercing the illusionary veil. Hell is a state of mind, and our true nature is love, which is exactly what Faithists believe. I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
Yeah, this guy sounds like he's wisdom, just wisdom. Where did you come across him?
Here on TikTok.
Really? What's
Yeah,
his name? Yeah, send me his profile. I need to
I'll
follow
tell
him.
you. I'll send you a video of his. Yeah, he is he's the real deal, man. Like what he teaches is basically the human experience and the struggle for the divine without all the BS.
Nice. Very
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yeah. His name is Bob Peck. Somebody asked in the comments what his name was.
Yeah, Bob
Yeah.
Peck. Nice. Yeah, that's I think it's such a refreshing thing. So many people seem to be wanting this um what is it? Truth without all of the baggage of this specific religion, dogma, practice, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're like, it feels as though they are unaware that this does exist, various forms. Faithism is definitely one of those pure forms of that. It's so quiet. I don't understand. Like faithism is so, it's like hidden, and I don't know how. It's very bizarre to me.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, if you follow a waspy, like really follow it, you're not going to try and convince anybody of anything. So there's kind of a limiting factor there. There are some faithists on YouTube that they call themselves the creator gang, and they literally gang up on other groups of people. And I just don't understand how they call themselves faithists, because they'll pick a fight and they will debate, and their whole goal is to destroy the other side. I'm like,
Oh my
what are you
god.
guys doing? You missed the plot altogether. So on one side, you have faithists who are not out there to try and recruit people. And on the other
Yeah.
side, you have people out there who call themselves faithists who are out there to destroy other people's belief systems. And I mean, I'm not shocked that faithism hasn't spread more, because of the two groups. Either you're going to be appalled by the idea of it, or you probably will never have heard of it.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's like this this very extreme condition of either no knowledge whatsoever or following it in such a way where people are not going to be privy to it, or whatever. There's these other groups that obviously have misunderstood the assignment there.
Yeah.
Uh, very, very extreme. Um, yeah, I remember when we first started speaking, and I was lamenting that there seems to be this polarity where discussion was about demolition and not communication.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing has really changed in that regard, generally speaking, except I've decided, to use the acrimony in order to provide some type of a solution. So, for example, and keep it out, this has nothing to do with like spirituality or religion. Those things I don't have any beef or I mean, it's like, hey, what you are convicted of and you have resolution for, great. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't fight with anybody in that regard. But when it does come down to other, like the other day, I was just speaking to what I thought were friends. We've known each other for a long time. It was just conversation about some of the gaps in knowledge pertaining to evolution.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that evolution is a very real process. There's no question to me in regards to that. There's just things that we don't know. So when it comes to some of those things I was presenting, A, B, and C, I think this might be something plausible in terms of an explanation. That triggered, in my view, a trauma response to what they felt was like religion again. That if
Yeah. What you
anything is
uncovered
said,
was religion.
right, like, oh no, it's now you're saying religion. I'm like, what? This has nothing to do. I'm just saying, hey, there might be a different way to look at this that could be, a good idea to help us with the science. This has nothing to do with the spiritual angle. No one's claiming a God. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, there's a different way to look at it. Oh, and it was really, really bad. And these are scientists. They're supposed to be scientific minded individuals. And they were just really speaking from a very emotional place. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so the engagement there was one that I looked at and I took to it did emotionally frustrate me because I was upset at the hypocrisy. Like, you guys were supposed to be dealing with science. I'm presenting science. I presented a scientific article of research from a evolutionary biologist in
Yeah.
regards to some of the details of what we were talking about in
Yeah.
order to come, to this thing. And they had nothing in response from a scientific place, but all of this acrimony. So I took that and I was like, okay, I was inspired to present things in a way that would be very specific and new. Here's an idea, and I wrote this paper,
Mm-hmm.
and I posted that on academia, and it's the concept, it's the idea, blah blah blah. But the point is that I think it was a good thing to take that energy and to use it as inspiration for something that could bring some innovation, innovative thought, innovative thinking, something new. That to me is what I see as the positive in that. But from the religious side, I understand. I do get it. There's been a lot of trauma and a lot of abuse
Mm-hmm.
that people have undergone, and so I am sympathetic to that. And I see I do get it. It's not like, oh, what's the problem? There's never been a problem. But on the other side, I also know that there are many that have a great heart and they're just looking to, this is their expression of it. Christianity is their expression of their love. I'm sorry, I just literally today I was walking I was walking to this apartment complex. I was looking for the office. I wanted to see about getting this apartment. And this guy yells out, he was like, he goes, "Hey, come over here." And
Yeah.
you could tell the energy was positive. It was like, okay, this older gentleman. So I go over there, and he was actually encouraging his family. He happened to be a Christian guy. And he's like, I haven't seen you around. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm a pastor at this church down the block, and my name is Richard Bailey. And I'm like, okay, Richard Bailey, cool. And we just started talking, and he introduces me to his wife, and we have some pizza, and he's going into how much he has this passion for God and for Christ and for, the Bible and all those things. He asked me about me. I'm like, well, I was honest. That's not where I'm at. But I used to be there, and I do have some insight into where he's coming from. And they were cool. These are good people.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I get it. Like, I can almost hear all of the people yelling about all the problems with Christianity and but the truth of it is that this man and his wife, the reason they were there were to help people, and they were.
Yeah.
They weren't there to do anything but just help in a very practical way. And that to me is the soul of it. And like, yeah, dude, I'm totally down, and they're really good people. So I see this dichotomy, and I'm like, at a loss. I wish that there would be some way to amplify the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It is one of the great mysteries in this current reality we're in is there seems to be a controlling force that requires people to. It's like people when we were talking about religion, we've been programmed to make a false choice. You have to choose between one of the Abrahamic religions or become an atheist. Like, what? And it's a very, it's a setup. It's a trap on both sides, all of the sides. And in order to weave that thread of truth through this experience we call life is, well, one, it's tricky, but two, most people have no idea what it is we're even attempting to do.
Right.
There is a book. There is a book that, because you brought up the pastor, this is called The Critical Journey. And it's all backwards, but this is written by Christians, and I read it while I was a Christian, but it has some really profound insights into why people, it basically outlines stages of faith, but you could also say stages of maturity. And it also goes into the stages of maturity in organizations as well. And there's a couple of different traps there. When you go through the different stages, you wind up facing the dark night of the soul, which, has different names, and it can be scary, but that's part of the maturing process. And most people get scared away from that, and they either just sort of dance at the base of that mountain and never climb, or they turn around and go to a much more comfortable stage, back when it was easy and less challenging. Now, people in leadership in religion, but any corporation, they also have stages of power. If the stage of power is granted to them, and sort of, I'm going to put numbers to this. If somebody is at a stage 3 in their maturity level or their stage of faith, and they're granted a stage 5 level of authority. So their authority eclipses their stage of faith. They will never mature.
Wow.
They will be stuck at that stage or go backwards. And corporations, religious corporations or any kind of corporation, they may start out with the best of intentions, but at a certain stage of development, they become in a survival mechanism. Just like when people face the dark night of the soul and mature out of religion, out of the institution, they may stay in the religion, but they sort of outgrown the institution of it. If religions did that, they would grow themselves into extinction, and they can feel it. And so they refuse to mature because that would mean their demise.
Wow. Okay. Very insightful.
Oh, it's a great book. It's a
Very
really
insightful.
good book.
I've the consideration for that has not been I has not been at the forefront, but it's more of this like subconscious understanding that there is a perpetuation for the need of the institution. And if that's not the case, as you said, they become passé and they're no longer needed. But which is, to me, very short-sighted. The purpose of true leadership, like when I was going through the leadership trainings and classes and stuff, and how to be a real leader, an executive, the purpose is to replace yourself, to be replaced. And not to push people down like, oh, they're going to take my job and I need to preserve it. It's to empower them to be the next person to take that position. And to know that in doing that, you are now elevating your ability to serve in a more complete way, which is what the higher echelon of leadership is all about. The CEO is primarily about staying true or keeping the operations true to the vision of the business, which means to bring together those team members, the executives, who are going to enable that vision. Period. Yeah. That's the job. It's not to do the other jobs. It's not to be cool. It's to do that.
Mentorship.
It is. It's a mentorship. And I want to say any spiritual organization, if the goal should be always to bring people to a place of spiritual liberation and this freedom, which are distinct. Not just the freedom and liberation generally are like conflated, but they are distinct. The liberation being the ability to utilize one's freedom, which is I take the liberty. And the other is I have the ability, the freedom. And
can you imagine churches incorporating that?
That would be
amazing, but
wondrous. Like, what can we do as an organization to empower the very best and to get out of the way? You don't need to depend. I don't want you to depend. It's like teaching our children. I don't want them to depend on me for how do I feed myself? Dad, you need to feed me. And like, no, you learn. We're teaching them how to be independent individuals and to give them the very best of what we have so that they can be the very best for their children. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's what it's supposed to be. That doesn't mean that they turn around. Oh, now that I'm an adult, now I'm gonna just, turn my back on my parents. And no, it would be quite the opposite, where there would be a kinship and an honor, and it would be that. And I would see that to be with the spiritual organizations idealistically, where
It
people would
would
say, this is wonderful.
it would be like that if there wasn't so much fear. If a church had if a church had a deconstruction movement built into it to grow people, to mentor people, to allow them to, in the words of Paul, start out in milk and be graduated to meat,
Mm.
and to become liberated, people wouldn't run from the church. They might leave the church, but there wouldn't be that hard feeling and trauma by it. And people might be drawn to the, church as well, because they see it as a safe place to exist without judgment, and to actually get tools, education, mentorship in life, not just the religion, but life. But the fear is from the institution. If we teach people how to leave, they're all going to leave.
That's right. That's not it's about the connection. It's about network. It's about
Yeah.
connection. And it's like, what does that quote unquote leaving mean? If we are the extension of a body, I'm not leaving it
Mm-hmm.
because I am expressing in a different way or a new way. Like, it should be, imagine in this institution, we empower the individual to seek the very best of what the core values are in regards to their emotional and a spiritual space. And if that should culminate into an expression that is new and different, wonderful, great. Do that, pursue that. And we want to support your new and different, or whatever that is, in the best way that we can. And that being instilled as a value, as a DNA into those who have been empowered in that way, that would be reciprocated. We also want to empower that institution that gave us this opportunity, that nurtured this opportunity, and not just forget it. Oh, there's nothing there. It's like, dude, there would be a reciprocation and not an abandonment. But this fear
Yeah.
is a
Fear.
major issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fear is at the heart of it. I think fear is what is the gasoline of religion. Fear of the unknown, fear of becoming obsolete. I mean, it's fear. It's really sad. And
Faithists.
I
This person asks, what is the belief in faithists?
you want to tell them, Saul?
My understanding is that the belief, faithism, is about honor, service, respect, love for the fellow man and for the creator, the being, the all, the universe, whatever you want to call that which is the basis of reality. And that's it. And there's this exposure to some of the details of that expression, from the way things have been constructed in science to this myriad of, I want to call it a spiritual evolution from the different planes of existence, and this constant growth and discovery. That's really what I see faithism to be.
You got it, man. You said that way better than I could ever have said it.
Well,
Spiritual evolution.
You were showing me the different areas within the book of Owaspy. I don't want to use the word hierarchy, but it was a type of hierarchy of growth. And it never left my mind. Like, I see this as I'm convinced that this is the case, like, because it's a common thread amongst every single spiritual practice and religion that I'm aware, where there's this reality that we as human beings are but one piece of, and
Yeah.
that there's this destination, quote, this what we would consider our afterlife, based upon the condition of our mind and our heart, what we see, what we believe, and what we feel to be true. That's what we are essentially crafting for ourselves. And that is the area of the reality of the realm in which we would occupy for some time, in order to then again develop and re emerge as a more fuller and complete being, and continue
Hmm.
that like that. I'm like, dude, that's really the exception being in some of the other spiritual narratives, there's like a hard stop at
Yeah.
certain places. Whereas I don't think there's a hard stop to an infinite truth. I don't
Yeah.
think that is how it works.
Yeah. There is no end to growth. Um, one of the one of um, the contrasts that sort of hit me really a couple years ago was the creation story in the Bible versus the creation story in Oahspe, or how the creation story in the Bible was created. When it said the creator rested, the creator can never rest, can never stop creating. That's the very nature of the creator. And in the Bible, it talks about how creation was over, the creator rested. That puts a limit. In Oahspe, there is no limit. The creator is ever expanding, and we can become ever closer to the creator, but we will never reach the creator like in a physical way, because the closer we get, the brighter the light is, but it's also never really gets closer because it's always going away from us. Just the light gets brighter.
Hmm. Asymptotic is the idea. It's this on a graph. There's an infinite line, and there's a line that's like sloping all the way down towards the bottom, like of that line, like on a. But it will never actually hit the line. But it will gradually. It'll come so close, 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 close. But it never is that line, or hits the line. It's this asymptotic, graph. It
Yeah.
sounds like what you described.
Well, I understand what you're saying. In my head, it makes a lot of sense to think about it as the horizon line. You can walk to the horizon all day long. You'll never get to
Oh,
the horizon line, but the
right.
light you're walking towards will get brighter.
Increase. Yeah.
Hey, do you
Yeah.
want to talk to another faithist if they want to come on?
Yeah.
I just I just recognized hey Ben, do you want to come on? If he can. Oh yeah. Or actually, oh, and his wife's here too. I don't know if he wants to come on or not, but very few faithists want to come on and be public. Like it is a private experience, but what's
Can you hear me?
up? Hey,
Hey,
Keishla.
hey, it's actually my account, but I'll ask Ben if he wants to talk. He went to make sure the babies were okay.
Oh, I saw him come up. I saw his name come up, but yeah, ask him. I mean,
Oh,
you're welcome to be here too.
thank you. Yeah, let me go ask him real quick.
Okay.
How have you been?
Staying busy. I just working, sleeping, and eating pretty much. The last couple of days I've been on TikTok a lot because I ran into some free time, so I'm kind of binging on doing lives. But that'll end here shortly. Go back to work.
Yeah, you're staying alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming right now though.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah. You're on the live. Do you want me to end mine or do you want to end yours? Okay.
All right.
What's going on,
Ben,
man?
how's it going?
Get off it.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry
How
about
are
that,
you?
y'all.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Man, I've been doing good, man. How about yourself?
Good. I tried reaching out to you. I had to talk to your wife and ask her if you were still alive.
Trust me, that you ain't the first person, man. But nah, man, we just been going through a lot lately. So
I get it. I just wanted to check in on make sure you're doing good and make sure you're still
I
out there.
appreciate that. I appreciate that, man.
Hey
But
Ben.
what's the conversation?
Okay, well I want you to meet Placid Saul. He's not a faithist, he's a theosophist. I think that is still an accurate description. But he and I have talked about Owaspy for years now. And he loves Saul, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
What's going on, Ben? How are you?
What's going on, Saul? Now, trust me, I done heard you in some clips, so I got a little bit familiar with you just through David. How you doing, man?
Yeah. I met David a couple of years ago, and I was just very much impressed with everything with him as a person and what he was sharing with me about Owaspy and Faithism. The Faithists, I think it's great. Like the entire premise about the service and about truth, and it's beautiful. And to be honest, we've been going through like he's over the time when we do speak, we'll go into the Book of Owaspy, and he'll just bring up things that will blow my mind. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This book is this and that. And I'm like, okay, I've got to do something about it. And then I get sidetracked into something different. But my full and complete respect for Faithism and Owaspy is there for sure.
Oh man, it is like opening up a new world, man. And the best part about Owaspy is literally you can go into the world and see everything that is going on in the book. You know, one of my big things, and I've spoken to David about it, is end of life experiences. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, man, that subject touches my heart in so many ways because it literally paints a picture of a foreshadowing of the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? And when you go through Owaspy, it basically lays out what's going to happen throughout that journey, because it is a journey and you can feel it. I believe every human feels the journey that they're going to go on after they pass, but some are just hard to want to understand that part. Death
It's
to me
funny
is
you mentioned that because
go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing, that it's when going through Owaspy and the different ideas that are being expressed, it's like this intuitive remembrance, like, oh yeah, that just resonates like this. It's
Right.
like remembering something and like, yep, that's right. I just know that that's correct, which is very different than a religion that's trying to
Shove it down your
express. You gotta. This is the narrative. It's not a narrative. It's very much like, here are the details to the principles of the truth.
right.
The end, and like, yeah.
Man, yeah, it's a beautiful journey because, like, the way my thought process goes is I try to put myself in the ancient's mind. You know what I mean? Just trying to place myself in that time period. Like, let's say we can go back to, I guess, 100 AD. You know, I can try to picture myself being with a tribe under the stars, no lights, you know, just living a nomadic lifestyle and understanding these things intuitively that is laid out in Owaspy. Like, not even hearing it coming from anybody else. It's just something that's instinctive. You know what I mean? So that's the best part about Owaspy to me, because it really is an instinctive book. Like you really don't even have to read Owaspy to live Owaspy. You know,
Right.
it's yeah,
That to me is a designation of authenticity. It's when
right,
it's a very natural expression that then you can put, name and whatever to. It's like a person who's like anything, um, people, the kids that are at play, they don't need to have a specific name for the game of tag. But I don't know any child in any in any nation or culture who hasn't played tag. They're
right.
running around and touching each other and just, having a good time. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah, it really is, and it kind of goes back to what Jesus said. I'm glad that you mentioned that because now I'm having more children. I have 4 children now, so it's I see children on the back half of my day every day. You know what I mean? So it's a process of watching them, and like what Jesus said, you really do gotta go through your life as a child. In a certain sense. You know what I mean? It's for children, they are definitely more in tune to reality than we think. They are the smartest being on
I
this
know.
world.
I have children as well,
Oh
and
man,
they're, when you say, especially when they're young, there's an innocence, but there's an openness
right,
that allows them to discern the truth of people, like the characters of things, without knowing it's not overshadowed by a bunch of belief systems or biases or anything like that. It's just like, one, they trust their parents. There's just this implicit trust, and
right,
two, they're open to things, and that makes everything much different when you're a child as opposed to when we're adults. Then, I don't know, there's a lot more baggage that can be that would have to be sifted through in order to kind of get to certain things. But the
right.
more we're able to relieve ourselves of that baggage and have this openness to reality, it seems like the better things can be.
Right. Man, you went on mute. I don't know if you know that, by the way, but that is very true. Like, I'm sure, David, you can attest to it as well, man. Just going through life and watching these things in motion, huh?
One, I just put it in the comments because I didn't want to interrupt you guys' conversation. But one of the things I really admire about children is their curiosity,
Right.
and that is something I have had to revive in myself a little bit, coming from out of religion. I realized my curiosity had been controlled and stifled for a purpose and for a reason, but it wasn't for my benefit.
Right.
And children are naturally curious, you know?
Nat-
Yeah, and they'll ask why all day long because they want to know, you know? And
right.
the worst thing you can say is because I said so.
It's hard not to say that sometimes. I promise
It's
you, man.
really super hard not to say that, but
But yeah, you are absolutely right, man. And your age-old saying, man, satisfaction killed the cat and curiosity brought it back. See, I remember, man. I remember.
you got it.
So, man, that's just viewing children and looking, at the craziness of adulthood. It bothers me sometimes, man. Like literally, like we were just talking about, children are more free in this world, and as you grow, it's like more and more weight is just put on your shoulders, and you feel put down by the world, just everything that they show you on the news. Shit, we're in the middle of World War III. Like it's a lot that you realize, and children are the complete opposite of what we should be, like of what we are now as humans.
Yeah,
You know, we all started at that place at one point in our life,
Well,
and it's go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, speaking of like the news and all the negative programming that they put out, I have found the more I understand the cosmic worldview presented in a WASPy, the less that stuff brings me down, because I have a little bit more context. You know, everything comes and goes in cycles. You know, the good always follows the bad,
Always.
and it cycles. And this life is not the end of the journey. It's literally just the beginning.
See, that optimism, that right there, that is one of the tenets, I think, of what is truth. There's a balance, you know, it's a recognition of the things that are, but more of a context of what things actually are. And that is also a trait that children have, in this positive outlook generally, you know. I saw a clip it was just earlier this morning where this baby, she's maybe like 5 or 6, is walking into the room. The parents are there, and they obviously have the camera on. They go, "Kaylee, what's on your face?" And she goes, "Beauty." Beauty. And they start you know, and she was being absolutely genuine. She's like, I mean, beauty must be on my face, because they tell her that, you know, you're a beautiful baby, and you're so what else could be on my face, you know, that type of, that's, you know, a reflection. Yeah.
Oh man, that is hilarious. That is a beautiful moment too. Oh man. But yeah, man, like just living life. I love to think about the term eternity, man. Like I always say this around, you know, people that stuck in religion, and I always just ask them, like, do you really know how long eternity is if you're supposed to live forever? Do you really understand the fact that you'll be in a heaven forever doing the same thing for eternity? That kind of sounds like another hell to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Hey, someone said it was the book of philosophy.
Oh, I'll let David explain that.
Well, let me just add to what you're saying. The difference between the traditional heaven of just existing or whatever for eternity. A WASPy outlines there are so many points of interest that we have access to: education, of labor, of doing apprenticeships, that there will never ever become a dull point. And it's all designed to give us the capability of serving those underneath of us, to raise them up. And so I think heaven traditionally has been kind of viewed as this sort of escapism, escaping our reality. And finally, we're going to be in paradise, and it's going to be so enjoyable for us and so rewarding. And we're going to have such, you know, it's so self-centered. Like, no, we're going to be living a life of service forever. The more we grow, the more we can help those beneath us. To me, that's a huge difference.
The service aspect of it.
What's that?
The fact that we can serve, or that the focus of service, is that the aspect that you're speaking to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
You don't get that. You don't get that in Christianity. Heaven is the end of the road, and it's supposed to be enough. The end of the road, really? Okay.
It seems weird. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's literally why I asked that eternity question to a lot of people, because like when it comes to that religion aspect of the world. I know everybody's not religious. You got your atheists and stuff, but like when it comes to being in a religion, they often tell you that you are going to have life for eternity. That's one of the grabbing factors of religion, you know. And like just looking through Owaspy, it details way more than I could have even expected. And it honestly renders itself true, especially like a good example that I like to give to Christians is I forgot the movie's name, but it was a movie about it was a Christian movie about a school shooting at an elementary school. I forgot the name of it, but if you guys remember, you can just blurt it out.
Bowling for Columbine.
I think that might be. Is it with the elementary school?
I think Michael Moore was the one that produced it. It was more of a documentary than a movie, but
Oh, yeah.
I
This
think
one,
Columbine was for the high school, but you're talking about the
Oh.
elementary school, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm not familiar with that.
I
movie.
forgot the name. I can't believe I forgot the name of it, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So just after going through life and seeing that movie, I seen that movie probably about 10 years ago before I even knew what Owaspy was. Even I didn't know nothing about Owaspy basically. And basically the movie entails the school shooting and everything happened. They finally got the shooter out the school, but then the aftershock of everything happened and the kids were starting to tell their parents, you know, they saw angels and stuff, you know. And remember, it's a Christian movie, so is when it comes to the angelic realm, Christians don't necessarily believe that angels are one-time human beings. You know, like humans
No.
that die don't go to protect. Usually in Christianity,
Yeah, I think like once you die, you have no like nothing to do with Earth anymore, and it's all just
Yeah.
heaven.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So the kids were telling their parents like we had angels all around us. Like all the kids, we all had angels all around us, and they were literally genuine, like we know kids are. And one of the fathers stumbled upon an old picture of, I think it was his mother or his father, I can't remember, and he showed it to his son, and his son was like, "Yeah, she wasn't that young. Wait, she wasn't that old, but yeah, that's her." You know, and now thinking about it, I was just like, Owaspy literally brings that into the equation. Like I don't read anything about that in the Bible, but Owaspy explains how we will have to look over our children for 6 generations, you know, keep them, protect them, you know. So it really hit home for me how deep this book is, you know, because people see it everywhere, but we just had nothing to really pinpoint it and explain it in the proper context. And I think Owaspy is that proper context that most people that's really seeking should at least give a try.
Yeah.
See, what you're mentioning, that's an amalgam of the other spiritual outlooks as well in regards to the overseeing of family and the connection. I mean, the native indigenous people of the Americas, they've professed that. The people in India, they profess that. Many nations in Africa, from Egypt to Ethiopia to, Zimbabwe, the practices there are very much where the elders are guiding, and protecting. And this is something that is, again, like one of those elements that I say, Owaspy is identifying these principles and universal spiritual experiences and truths. And it rings true to me because of that. Like I haven't found anything where it's like, oh yeah, there's nothing in regards to that anywhere. It's like, no, this is certainly something that is shared amongst a variety of different spiritual practices and ideologies. I think there's something there,
To me, Owaspy is the I guess, the pin that is connecting all the dots. The dots are everywhere, and you can, read 20 books and some of the dots will get connected, and you read 20 other books and other dots will get connected. But a WASPy is like a one-stop shop where all the dots get connected. And it's not the end of the knowledge. It's just the platform to jump off, but it's coherent. That's what's most remarkable about it, is its internal consistency within itself.
Yeah.
That's probably the most miraculous part of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, it's kind of frustrating sometimes going through other cultures' religions at times because of those inconsistencies that you can spot, especially after reading a WASPy. Like, it's hard to go read a WASPy and look at another religion and really detail that religion and see it in any other way possible, because a WASPy details religion itself as, this is in a nutshell, but a game that the gods play.
Yeah. Here's a book that I just finished reading. It's a book on Zoroastrianism, and it's I was really wanting to read Zoroastrianism because it's mentioned in a WASPy specifically, and so I wanted to delve into it because it's like, it's like a close cousin to a WASPy. And I read the book, and unfortunately, there were just a mixed bag of things that really resonated with me, and then it just felt like it was the same story with other religions of wanting justice and vindication and wanting the creator to smite the enemies because of, wrongdoing, whatever. It's like, oh man, I'm so disappointed, but it's just the way it is, apparently. Humans can twist anything and turn it into a mixed bag of positive and negative.
Oh God, humans twisting words is the theme of the 2020s. So, it's very clear what you're saying is very accurate, man. Oh man, but yeah, I really do appreciate the fact that a WASPy came across my plate, man. It really has opened my eyes to a lot of the deception that we see in the world. Like, everybody's worried about what's coming up early next month, and now I'm just like, yo, I could care less, bro. Like, it ain't like these people really care about me. I need to take care of the people that's around me that I really do care about, and I need to actually try to be a better version of myself every day. And it's a very hard task to do for anybody. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like, even like it's not something that you just stumble into often. You really have to work at it, And a WASPy actually points out a lot of the ways that us as humans can work towards a better world. And I really appreciated that, just reading and going through that knowledge, because it details the horrifying scenes of everything in this world as well, So it's not a biased point of view. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. The book really is real and deep, and it details the hardships that humans have had to deal with for almost 100,000 years now.
Hey, Saul, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Did you ever take the plunge and actually buy a physical book?
I have not. I don't have a place for the physical book at the moment.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a limiting factor.
right, when I do, then yes, I do have physical books. Like I have a huge library of digital. It's
Mm.
huge, but there are certain books that I would love to have in a physical form. A Waspy being one of them. So yeah, when I can, I will.
Awesome. Here's a project that I want to share with you guys. One day, it would be really great to have a community of faithists, but, that could be a fairly broad term, like-minded individuals. I've been thinking about, so as a community, what would our daily, weekly, yearly, like what would we come together for prayer ceremonies or rituals or like in Owaspy, it talks about a community cannot have harmony without shared rituals and rites. And there are some in Owaspy that I really like, but so I have this journal and I'm collecting songs and prayers and routines, daily routines and monthly and yearly festivals and, rituals and stuff like that from Owaspy, from Native American, from the Essenes, from anywhere I can find it, from Zoroastrianism. And it's really interesting to try and condense all of these different ideas, faith disciplines, into maybe something coherent that a community could have, like a handbook where we can, have a group session at sunrise or sunset, or, having, like a Sabbath type of thing, or, celebrating the solstice, or, different things for different times. Well, yeah, this is a really interesting project. I don't know if I ever will be part of a community, but
That's brilliant. I definitely interfaith connections and purpose to me is everything. And I mean that in a very literal way. I see that as being the true progression towards healing and what is maturing as a species overall. So whenever there's an opportunity for there to be these connections of purpose, which I like, you're suggesting some type of a shared experience or purpose by a variety of different groups that would be coming together. I'm so with that. In fact, it was like a week or so ago, I was sharing that is what I'm going to start doing on my lives once a month. I'm going to grab the people that I know that are friends that have different, belief systems, different expressions, and bring them together so we can just have like a discussion and show like there are people that can get along. We can have atheists and Christians and faithists and Hindus and, and Satanists and, Luciferians, all cool, and doing something that is actually of benefit, because I know all of these types of people and they're very amazing people. So I'm like, I can just invite my friends and say, hey, and everybody would get along. Like there wouldn't be any like, oh, what's this or that? There wouldn't be any acrimony there. It would just be like, okay, cool. And what are we doing? Oh, well, it's going to be the winter solstice. So we're going to just talk about what that means from our perspective. And that would be pretty interesting, I think, for people to experience.
that would be amazing. That would be so cool. I know I would love to be part of that, but I'm not sure if I ever would have the synchronicity of my schedule and when that happens. But something, Saul, I would love it if you would take your lives and publish them or edit them, or you could just publish them raw on YouTube. Just put it out there, because there's so much that needs to be archived. For real.
I do agree. There's been a lot that I think would have been very interesting. Things that are gone now. I'm like, they're no longer available. But I'm going to do that and download and do some editing somewhat and show some of the most. There are some really amazing people that have great perspectives on a variety of different things. Like in my lives, we don't do any like. There's no arguing, things like that, where it's like fighting, or it's not the thing. There certainly are. There can be debates, but most of the time, it's about this collaboration in terms of tackling some type of idea or an issue. Like what is the morality given this scenario, and how would we work this out, and those types of things. And I think that others would find that interesting, and I think it would be even more interesting to see people from a variety of different backgrounds working in concert, like for that, because I don't see that. It's generally, it's the Muslim and the Christian and the atheist, so it's going to be a fight. I'm like, no, I know right now I can invite Muslim rock star. I could have Shayla, who's a Christian. I can have you, and a Christian, a faithist, and a Muslim, all just be like, hey, let's just chat, and it would be a wonderful experience. None of the you guys would have any intention of anything other than just getting to know one another and understanding different perspectives.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I had one time where I had a pagan and a Catholic on, and it took a little bit of reining in, but ultimately we had an amazing conversation. We talked about the afterlife and hell, and everybody took turns just expressing what it is they believed. And it took a little bit of coercion, but the argument stopped, and we just shared the space for each other. And it was like awesome. It was like magic. It was something that nobody had ever experienced.
See, that's key. I think that's really key, because it gives one hope. This 4-letter word that's rare when it comes to things that are different, like hope, for us to actualize things in a way that is positive. What is that like? And it to be interesting and just as fun, like, oh, well, imagine an atheist and a Christian and a Muslim and a faithist and
Theosophist,
and a theosophist and a Satanist, all converging on something that would be of a morality type of issue. And there's alignment. Like, I know that I could say, oh, what would be the best thing in this scenario type of thing. And I know that those people there's an alignment in terms of the values, and it would show that, oh, wow, yeah, we can all definitely not only just get along, but we can actually approach things with our unique perspectives in a way that is beneficial to everyone, like to each other. That would be, that's cool.
I like the way you described it, of collaborating.
Yeah. The collaboration is, I think it shows this equality. Everyone's perspective is an input, important, valuable.
That's why the circle is universally important. It's a universal symbol. If we all sat in a circle, the Knights of the Round Table, the medicine wheel, like, it can go on and on and on. This is a universal symbol for community and collaboration, and our human struggle for working together to seek out the divine.
Right. And that you were reading to me about one of the levels where there's a recognition of God, of the Father, right? And it was like of Jehovah. And it was this like union, but of realms, like of these different realms that we're acknowledging. And it was very powerful. Do you remember what that was? There's so many books. I don't remember the name of the book, but I want to
There
go
are
back to it.
there are several places, like a lot of places in Owaspy, where it talks about the different realms and how some of the realms are cut off from the creator because of some egotistical god or false god. But then it talks about how they, when it's all in line with the creator, they all work together to serve the will of the creator and to help raise up those underneath of it. But specifically, I don't know. I don't know what passage you're talking about.
It was towards that. You were saying that there was this opportunity for certain beings to go and to essentially serve other beings that were coming up, to help them, to recognize, to build that. What was that?
Well, like I said, I don't know what passage, but the principle is very similar to what we were talking about before. Let's say let's just say a faithist dies and goes to a faithist heaven, but they're obviously still at a very immature state of being because they lived their whole life on this world. So there's a lot of learning and growing that needs to happen. And so the more advanced beings on that plateau, that realm, their whole mission is to grow and mature that newborn faithist into a mature being. Now, I want to contrast this with another possibility. A Christian or Muslim or whoever dies and they go to the heaven in which they were striving for. Now, that heaven could be in a state of chaos, because when you have a leader that's disconnected from the creator and they're collecting worshipers, they're creating their own religion, and their whole point is to focus all of that worship on themselves instead of redirecting it to the creator, that heaven will fall into chaos eventually and into a type of hell. So you die and you go to one of these heavens, and it could be in some state of decline. It could wind up already being a hell. You go to heaven and it's already in that stage of decline where it's considered a hell. The Father, the Creator, has an army of beings where they go to these hells and rescue them. They rescue the hells, bring them to a plateau or to a heaven that is in line with the Creator. They rehab them, they educate them. It's like going from a fire to a burn unit, to a hospital, to rehab, to out into the real world.
That's beautiful. See, so again, there's similitude. There's a book written by Eliphas Levi. He writes quite a few of them, and one of them, he speaks about those who are in the afterlife. From our perspective, they would be dead, and they were shrouded by their own mind, by their state. They were, sad, lone, all of these things, basically in a type of hell. And he goes, it is not for those of us to know of this and do nothing. It is not of us to see them and just have to pity them, but our purpose is to go and to save them from their loneliness by imparting to them brotherly love, encouragement, to literally take them from their place of isolation and bring them into the fold of this congregation. And I was like, what? Like, this is Eliphas Levi, like straight. It was very beautiful. What you described also, it resonates with that. This is, very very intense. Question: what's the name of the author of the Book of Owaspi?
Well, technically, the publisher, the guy who put it together, does not claim authorship, but his name is John Neubauer. I can never pronounce his last name correctly. Let's see if I can find his name here. Because the idea of it being automatic writing, and he was a channel for it, he does not claim authorship of it, but let me see if I can find. Yeah. I'm trying to find his name so I can spell it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, his last name is Newbrough. Newbrough.
Okay, cool. Because I think my friend in the comments, Pika, she's looking into this.
Well, I'll have to give a disclaimer. If you're looking into John, the doctor, he's not necessarily the best example of living as a faithist. I'll just put it that way. But I will say that the effort, or the result of him being a vessel or a channel, that is where the fruits are positive. His life had a lot of less than admirable traits, but I mean that's true for all of us. But when people look into a book, they look into the author as well and judge the book by the author. I would just say that John does not claim authorship, and if you look at his life, it is not an exemplary life of a faithist. But whose is, right?
Absolutely. But oh yeah, what I did want to say is I thought both of you guys' ideas were pitch perfect, because I've also had the same ideas in my mind as well, with different groups, different cultures, different races, different people coming together. I forgot to chime in. Y'all were just in the flow, but that was the perfect world to me. Like when I view a perfect world, like I want the differences and the different nuances in every person, but I like has been said, can't we all just get along? Like that's all I would love to see from this world. You know what I mean? Like I understand the differences that we have as people, but we all have brains that have questions and would like to explore different possibilities to the answer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's hopefully one of these days we'll get there, but I'm definitely willing to be a part of it as well. I will say that.
Well, I don't think destroying religions is the answer. I think taking people deify the religion. If we can remove the deification of the religion, then let's keep the religions. I think the problem is people turn the religion into an idol and have no room for anything else. I think.
Yeah, I agree. There's a balance, and it's not about, I think, getting rid of, but really understanding the motivation for why there is this expression. It's like almost saying, like, recognizing the various languages that exist, and they have an expression that's rooted in many ways in the culture, history. It's very specific and unique. And I think it's a loss. I mean, in the most true way, when language goes away, because it's a perspective of thinking that's no longer available.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that when it comes to, and I've got to be careful when it comes to a spiritual expression, of which many times religion is that. Sometimes it's not spiritual expression, but like, a type of manipulation. And I recognize that. But I mean spiritual expression, and saying, yes, these ideas and this approach, I believe that they're all very, very necessary and important.
You know that no nonsense spirituality lady, Britt Hartley? She did a video a couple weeks ago where she played devil's advocate and argued for the side of religion. And she did such a good job of outlining the benefit of having culture, community, tradition, shared stories, mythology, and how that improves the quality of life. She did make a caveat that she had arguments against religion, but she was for a moment going to argue for the benefit of religion. And it was beautiful. And if we could have all the benefits of religion and sort of wean ourselves off of all the negativity of it, that would be a huge step.
Yes, that absolutely. I firmly and absolutely believe that the future is a purification of spiritual expression, to the extent in which it's not this homogenized, but a authentic and true union of that expression, where we're like, yeah, these are things that we all recognize. At that point, we're talking other level experience on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
For the vast majority, like they're on a serious, like oftentimes I'm in discussions and we're speaking about the social things, social changes, and we speak about systems and we think about approaches and etc. But without there being a fundamental change in regards to the souls of people and what we're doing, exploitation, greed, hurting others and all that stuff, those things would only be quelled when there is, I think, a true spirituality that is leading what we are doing as people, because it would minimize the harm and pain that happens from, one, we're children, and two, from the expression as we are within the societies. And it's not about, this person is not coming, this person has lost their family, they don't have the means, etc. They're not going to be cast out to the wolves and have to become something that is detrimental, because the community would be wrapping arms around them and edifying that.
Yes.
Providing. And that would be different. Like, oh yeah, it was fine. I'm fine. I'm not, I don't need that other person that would have become wouldn't. And that at scale changes a lot. And I'm not necessarily saying utopia, but I do believe that future in terms of time, question mark, I have no idea. But I believe that the only outcome will be that, if in fact we are here.
Yeah.
Period. Like, I don't see any type of, like, if it goes into a dystopian place, then I just see an erase. But if it goes into a much more egalitarian space, I see this like outstanding experience.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. How does Theosophy, from your point of view, what are the aspects of theosophy that would be complementary to what we're talking about? Because I still don't really know that much about theosophy. I did look into it for a little bit. I got into a tiny bit of research, but I would love to hear more from the specific aspect of theosophy.
Right. And also, just to add to that, can you just give an overall review of Theosophy? Because I've never heard of it, and I will definitely like to hear a viewpoint of a theosophist, if that's the correct.
Theosophy literally means theos, God, Sophie, wisdom. So the word means God wisdom. And this God wisdom, the soul of it is the recognition that there is one absolute truth, and it's love. And when it comes to religion, the statement is there is no higher religion than truth. So the purpose of God wisdom is to serve humanity in such a way that unity is the absolute result. And the Secret Doctrine is a book. It's again, so Helena Petrovna Blavatsky is known as the author, but she did not author this book. The book that's titled The Secret Doctrine, which is seen as the Theosophist Bible, kind of, if you would, is a translation from the book of Daizan. And this book, Daizan, she translated from some language into English. And it's a huge volume. And it gives an account of the principles of the universe and its beginnings and its ebb and flow. Okay, this and all of the things in between, from like mankind and the evolutionary structure of the spirit. And the whole purpose, this book of Daizan is coming from inspiration from the source, like just directly through ascended masters who've written down these truths and compiled this in order to live by. And so the purpose for a theosophy is simply to serve others in a way that would bring about a unity. And the unity, like there's this separation between science and religion. And so one of the main points of union was to bring those together. So Blavatsky, she would take on these, like one of the great things that she did, she said, look, the book is wisdom and it's giving science and truth. Just ask and we will present it. We're not making this up. This is fact. And so there was a series where she would be asked questions by the scientists of the day through a reporter who was publishing her answers and the questions in papers for the public to read. And they would ask questions like, what is the soul? What happens when you die? What about the elements about science and the universe? Things that they thought would stump her. She wouldn't be able to know or answer with specificity, clarity, and any type of validity. To their surprise, she did just that, because she was saying, this is just knowledge that it's not coming from me, but it is definitely coming through me through this. I have this book, and she published the book. So she answered these questions, and the science portions of that are still being validated today. She spoke about black holes. The book was published in 1888. There wasn't anything, there was no validation of black holes. There was certainly no validation of field theory, quantum field theory at that time. That didn't even happen until we're talking Maxwell Planck, 1900s. Okay, that wasn't a thing. She was speaking about it. It's in the book of Daizan, in the Secret Doctrine. Like the expansion of the universe. The book was saying, yeah, the universe is expanding like an exhale and an inhales. This is something that science is seeing now, and a variety of other things. That's on one side. Then the spiritual side she was breaking down that there are principles, spiritual principles, and that all religions are stemming from this one root truth, that all religions were at one point one religion or one spiritual reality. And she gives very clear definition for that as well. And that at its core is what Theosophy is about.
Man, sounds like Theosophy and Faithism are operating just under two different labels.
Right, exactly. That's why when I saw that's what caught me in your live. You were like, service. Faithism is about service and about honor, and I was like, wait, what? This sounds like Theosophy, but it's saying Faithism. And then the Book of Oahspe and the science portion, I was telling you, I was like flipping out. I'm like, dude, these are all of the principles, number one, of everything that is of contemporary science. And also that's what pulled me into the science side. I'm an engineer, computer engineer, but the science depth of things that I wouldn't generally have gone into, the cosmology, the quantum physics, neurobiology, these types of things is something that Theosophy was like, oh, this is that, this is here, and there you go. And then I saw the same thing in the Book of Oahspe. Like the Book of Oahspe literally just literally breaks down all of those things with detail, and it's accurate. Like the black holes, toroidal fields, all of that is in this book before any of these things have been even published within the contemporary times. So we're talking 1960s. We hypothesized about certain things for a long time. We just identified the Higgs boson, 5-10 years ago, was it? But we've been searching for it for 50 years. So, and the Book of Oahspe was speaking to that 100 years ago, like these types of things. And I saw that because I remember going through that section for sure. I don't want to give out some of so I was like, I want to expose some of this information. Yes, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I don't want to do that because I know that it's already difficult to deal with contemporary science and the facts and have the skeptics who feel that anything that's leading away from physical reductivism refute. So I know that they'll be like, oh, what? This book that's a pseudo Bible is talking this is trash, it's pure nonsense. They can't handle anything that doesn't just say, look, it's a piece of wood and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like they can't do it for even though the science is now literally at the part where they're saying, yeah, there isn't anything actually. There's no solid material. It's just a wave function made of nothing. Okay, they still can't get and accept that there could be some type of metaphysical properties. Like that to them is just unfathomable. It doesn't fit into my cup. How do I measure that? Like, you guys, can you please? And so I will do those types of engagements where I'm debating. And I did a video on that. I was like, first of all, the first fundamental cornerstone of the metaphysic is possibility. Yep. Possibility is assumed and necessary for all mathematics, for all chemistry, for all science, period. Does it exist? Yes, then it's possible, right? Because it's actual, then it must be possible. No scientist is going to say, no, we have impossible things. That's their whole basis. Great. So then possibility not being a physical thing is what? It's a metaphysic. It's a description. It's a prerequisite for all physical things.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to talk to me anymore about that. No one, all the scientists suddenly,
Crickets.
It's crickets now. Oh, what's the problem? They don't want to get into it. So those types of things, but it took some time. I had to refine the arguments and I'm using science. I'm using this literal science and the math from them in order to bring back what's being said. It says here in the book of Owaspy that there are galaxies that were. When did we discover galaxies? When did we do it? Oh, after? What's going on, guys?
Right.
What happened?
Have y'all heard that scientists are kind of in a daze right now because the Big Bang Theory is on a possible route to being debunked really soon? Apparently, they found galaxies that were older than the Big Bang out in space.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the James Webb telescope that took a look out deep field and said, wait, hold on a second. How would these have been fully developed? Because when we're looking deep, then we're looking back in time. So given the expansion of the universe and given the conditions, they theorized that the cosmological bodies, collections, would have been incomplete in a variety of ways, but they were full and complete. So either the time scale for the universe is off, or the process is still unknown. And they don't understand what's going on.
They need to reevaluate the model that they're working from.
Right. I think it's definitely the latter on that one. And for the simple fact, the way I see it, the simple fact that it's people like us that have like minds on this situation shows that a big change is coming in this world. You know, all it takes is one Nobel Peace Prize and the whole world can change its whole viewpoint on science. You know, so matter of fact, when we are speaking of merging spirituality with science and actually being in unison, how far away do y'all actually see that coming?
It's hard to put time frames on stuff, but you can see the momentum shifting. I would say there's some positive signs of it happening.
Yeah.
A shift? You mean a shift in terms of the sentiment towards things that are spiritual?
Yes, actually acknowledging the things that they didn't acknowledge being as scientific as they are, you know.
That's already, oh man, yeah, that's happening all of the time, factually in every. So begin with the most popular buzzword right now, artificial intelligence. So I was in this heated discussion 2-3 days ago in regards to some other topic. It was with evolution, whatever. And in my research, I was looking at the models that they were using in order to replicate certain evolutionary growths and things like that. And in that, they were saying, you know, these neural networks, these artificially intelligent computers, part of that was modeling whether or not the intelligence could become more intelligent without any human intervention whatsoever. The answer was yes. It's shown. They did, when I say a model, they set up a circumstance and then just hit go. And because of its speed, it's as though years and millennia are passing. And this thing was growing and changing and adapting in ways that couldn't be done hypothetically unless it was thinking the way that we actually think. And that was done. Like there's the data is there, and this was done in 2024. So this is like, so question mark, is the soul real? Yes. The science has been, oh, I don't see it. I'm looking for a purple ghost guy. You guys, stop. What do we mean? So neuroscience has come to this conclusion that actually, if we say soul, which is a unique element or aspect of an individual, which is comprised of a variety of different aspects, then yes, that's most certainly real, because every human brain is absolutely unique. And the essence, quote, the qualitative expression is something that they can map out with mathematical accuracy. That the soul is not a physical thing, but it's most definitely a defining thing. So and I have the articles for this. Like, this is not, because the PhDs that I argue with all day, like, this is a necessity. And so they're like, yeah, okay, well, maybe they don't want to use the term. They don't like anything that would suggest a spirituality, but they're coming to your point. They're coming to the recognition that the things that were previously, the spiritual woo, is not only true, but truer than they expected it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's heavy. That is heavy. You go ahead, David.
Oh, I was just going to maybe wrap this up. I gotta call my wife. She's out of town right now, and I missed a call from her. But I am so glad that the three of us were able to have this connection, because I don't think Saul has actually met. Oh no, you did. I did an interview with you, and you did meet other Faithists, but not here on TikTok. That was on a Zoom meeting. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool to be able to sort of organically all come together. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, David, I'm so glad that you were on, and I've missed speaking with you. It's been a while. I'm glad that you were around. This is great.
It has been a while.
Amazing to meet you, Ben. Very good.
Yeah. Same. This has been a very fun night, man. And it came out the blue. Like Saul just said, I appreciate you for getting on live tonight, man. And I saw the request, and I couldn't wait to get into this live, bro. Like, trust me. I love y'all's minds. Y'all are beautiful souls, y'all self, man. I really do love the both of y'all genuinely, and I appreciate y'all for having the mindset that y'all do.
Same with you. Same with you. All right, guys. Till next time.
Till next time. Peace and light to both of you guys. I'll see you guys later.
Love.